All right.
Eric.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to our reading of the 1988 comedy classic, The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad. We have a fantastic cast here tonight. Uh, we have Anne to my left, at least from this perspective, playing a whole bunch of people, including the love of my life, Jane, played by Priscilla Presley in the movie, the one and only. She's also playing the mayor of Los Angeles. This was an in the park production of Julius Caesar, you moron. Best line in the movie. She's also going to play a bunch of other people. Logan is going to be Captain Ed Hawken, the best sidekick in film history. Technically, he's Frank's boss, I guess, but they seem like partners. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Uh, Charlie is going to be our scene description, and he's also going to play the Queen of England, who I don't think has any lines, but she's a very important part of the movie. So,
I can wave.
yeah, immediately I thought of Charlie when I saw we were doing the Queen of England.
Is that the sweater?
It's the sweater, yeah.
The bride.
It's the sweater. We got Travis, of course, playing Nordberg, probably the unluckiest man in film history. Thankfully, played by O.J. Simpson in the movie, so you don't care when he gets hurt.
Woof.
Uh,
Ooh.
and
Wow.
Travis also plays a lot of other people. And last but not least, we have Eric playing the villain of the movie, Vincent Ludwig, played by the one and only Ricardo Montalban in the movie.
Eric's always the villain.
Yeah, what's with that? And of course, Eric's
Yeah.
going to play a bunch of important people, including Enrico Palazzo, a little bit later for us. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Charlie, whenever you're ready.
All right, ladies and germs. The Naked Gun, aka Police Squad, by Jerry Zucker, Jim Abrams, David Zucker, and Pat Proft. Impressive panorama, ominous music superimpose Beirut, Lebanon. Exterior Palace Day, heavily guarded. Interior Palace Day, it's incredibly opulent. The camera follows Papschmier to a massive door guarded by several heavily armed militia. We can hear voices speaking in a foreign language on the other side of the door. Camera follows Papschmier through the doors into the palace conference room. Day. Seated around a large conference table is every hated world leader: Yasser Arafat, Ayatollah Khomeini, Muammar Gaddafi, Idi Amin, and Gorbachev. Off to the side is a sinister looking Iranian, Mr. Papschmier. Observing everything, takes a seat at the end of the table.
Killing a few hostages is not sufficient. The Americans must be made to suffer. We must humiliate them.
A servant in typical Arab coffee headdress wheels a coffee cart into the room.
We should rip the entrails out and drag them from here to Damascus until they include us in the peace process.
My scruffy little friend continues along this moderate lines. Nonsense. The solution is not bold enough. Wipe out Washington, New York.
What, and spoil 3 years of good public relations? I have the West believing I'm a nice guy. Another year, maybe the head of Greenpeace.
Continued, the bickering escalates almost to the point of pandemonium. During the bickering, we reveal Gaddafi wearing a name tag reading, "Hello, my name is Muammar," and Arafat wearing an Herbalife badge reading, "I lost 23 pounds. Ask me how." Close up, fist. It slams to the table. The room goes silent. Pan up, the arm is Khomeini, rising to his feet. Gentlemen, gentlemen, this is getting us nowhere. If we do nothing else this week, we must conceive one terrorist act, which will show all the world that the United States, the great Satan, is but a paper tiger. In the background, the servant pours coffee. A weak nation of weak people, a people ripe for destruction, cowards no longer willing to fight. Angle on a samovar cart. Tea is being poured for Khomeini. Camera pans up to reveal servant is actually Lieutenant Frank Drebin of Police Squad. He rips off his coffee and slugs Khomeini, sending him reeling backwards. He throws a cup of tea in Gorbachev's face and slugs Arafat in the mouth. Idi Amin swings at Frank but misses. Frank grabs him by the neck and seat of his pants and runs up to and out a window. Khomeini, thrown back up against a wall, clears his head and charges back in. In the melee, his famous turban comes off, revealing an orange mohawk. Frank knocks him flat. Just in time, he looks up to see Gorbachev charging at him with a knife. Frank knocks it away, trapping the premier in a headlock. He reaches off screen for a rag and wipes the scar off Gorbachev's forehead. It comes off clean.
I knew it.
He runs Gorbachev through a wall. Continued, Papshmir, his eyes are darting around the room, decides to retreat to safety through the back door. Frank leaps up onto the windowsill and turns back to them. We're at the exterior palace, daytime. Frank's point of view of approaching hay cart pulled by a donkey.
And don't ever let me catch you guys in America.
Exterior palace, day. He leaps out the window but completely misses the hay cart. Frank is in a mud puddle. Fade to black. Fade into an interior water tank, day. Police squad theme music begins to play. Credits begin over obese naked women swimming underwater in silhouettes a la James Bond. Frank appears wearing huge flippers, wandering through the scenes. Credits end. Exterior, the docks night. An establishing shot shows heavy fog lying on the bay. We hear a foghorn sounds, etc. Exterior, docks night. From behind a crate, plainclothes policeman Nordberg emerges equipped with a state-of-the-art eavesdropping device. He points his parabolic dish towards a nearby ship and hears Wheel of Fortune through the heavy steel walls. Next, he points it to an apartment building and hears Wheel of Fortune. Finally, he points it towards a ship named SS I Love You and hears voices.
This completes our first shipment of cocaine.
It's 100% pure, all 40 kilos.
The final shipment will be delivered here in 3 days. After it checks out, we will expect payment.
Do not worry, we will take care of it. Nordberg has heard enough. He puts his listening apparatus down and, interior ship, night, Nordberg, revolver in hand, stealthily sneaks down the hall past doors marked engine room, commissary, captain. Finally, he arrives at crew quarters and hears the drug deal going down. He pauses momentarily and then with a giant karate thrust, kicks the door. Interior crew quarters night. The plotting bad guys look towards the foot dangling through the closed door. Interior hall night. Nordberg clumsily removes his foot. Interior crew quarters night. Nordberg's hand reaches through the hole and begins to unlock a series of latches, deadbolts, and chain locks as the bad guys patiently load their pistols, rifles, mortars, etc., and wait. Nordberg finally opens the door. He sees 6 bad guys with their guns pointing at him, and he pulls out his badge.
Please throw down your guns.
6 bad guys. A dumb bad guy throws down his gun. The others roll their eyes at the dumb one sheepishly the dumb one sheepishly retrieves his revolver. Dumb guy's hand going for the revolver, pan up to reveal Vincent Ludwig.
Kill him.
The bad guys shoot Nordberg. He stumbles back, grabbing his wound midsection, and wickedly cracks his head against an overhead beam. He grimaces and stumbles forward and shrieks out, lifting his foot, revealing a thumbtack. He hops sideways, breaking his momentum by putting his hand on a hot stove. He cries out in pain and bounces off a wall that says wet paint. He hops across the room to a windowsill where he rests his hand as the window crashes down on his fingers. The bad guys look on incredulously as he pulls his hand free. The bad guys are looking left to right as Nordberg stumbles back and forth across frame, each time with a different object around his head: a lampshade, window curtains, a life preserver, framed painting, an anchor and chain. Nordberg trips over a coat stand, causing him to fall face first into a wedding cake. A bad guy is splashed with frosting. Nordberg reels backwards as though he had been dunked in acid and backpedals, with bride and groom sticking out of his mouth into a bear trap. He looks up to see several stuffed bear heads on the wall. He staggers backwards out the door to the ship's deck exterior night. He topples over the side of the boat and into the water. The bad guys rush to the rail and look down in the water. Exterior, airport, day. Stock footage of a big plane landing on the runway. Exterior airfield, day. A 727 comes to a stop. The stairs are pushed to the plane as the door opens. Angle on news reporters and onlookers on the field. Cameramen set up their equipment. Ed rushes his way through the crowd. He flashes his police identification and crosses the barricade.
There he is!
Angle on an airplane. Frank exits with other passengers. He has a small carry-on bag. He sees all the reporters, flashbulbs popping everywhere. As Frank reaches the bottom of the steps, Ed greets him.
Welcome home, Frank. Good work in Beirut. We heard all about what you did.
Thanks, Ed. But I only want to know one thing. Is it true what you wrote to me about Victoria?
I'm afraid so, Frank. She just ran off with some guy. They were married last week.
They start walking forward. Frank is completely dejected. The crowd starts to cheer.
It's over. It's all over. All of this is meaningless. I did it for her. I did everything for her, and now she's gone.
They arrive at a bank of microphones. Frank addresses the crowd of reporters angrily.
And you all came looking for a hot story, didn't you? You want my picture so you can sell your lousy newspapers.
Frank,
Sure, you think I'm a big hero, man of the hour, but can any of you understand how a man can hurt inside?
Frank, they're not here for you. Weird Al Yankovic is on the plane.
Continuing, angle on Weird Al Yankovic at the top of the airplane steps. Flashbulbs start popping and they begin shouting questions.
Oh, well, I see.
Ed hustles Frank away towards the waiting unmarked car.
Where was the wedding? What did she wear?
Don't torture yourself, Frank.
I just can't get her out of my mind, Ed. Who was this guy? You know anything
They
about
get
him?
into the car. Frank takes the wheel and starts the car.
Not much. Just that he's an Olympic gymnast, and he's the best sex she's ever had.
Frank puts the car in reverse and backs into the end of the baggage train. Interior car day, Frank and Ed driving to the hospital.
I trusted her. I followed my heart. Foolishly, it turned out. I guess now I'll just have to learn to forget. It's not going to be easy. Everywhere I look, something reminds me.
He looks
of
out
her.
the window to exterior passing road. Frank's point of view, they pass two gigantic domes side by side. Interior of the car day.
I don't know. Maybe cops and women just don't mix. How's Nordberg? I came back as soon as
He's
I could.
alive, Frank, but on life support. Doctors say he's got a 50-50 chance of living. There's only a 10% chance at that.
Exterior hospital day. Frank's police car pulls up in front of the hospital. Behind the car are baggage carts, which he has dragged all the way from the airport. Frank and Ed get out of the car and enter the hospital. Interior hospital day. Norberg lies there, semi-conscious. His wife sits by. Norberg is kept alive by many tubes inserted into him, plus life-saving machines and heart blip monitors, etc. His fingers and toes are in full splints and bandages. The doctor is just finishing up bandaging Norberg's leg.
Mrs. Nordberg, I think we can save your husband's leg. Where would you like it sent?
She cries. Frank and Ed enter.
Oh, Frank, I'm so glad you're here.
She rises to embrace him.
Good to see you, Wilma.
She sits down, Frank's comforting hand on her shoulder.
There now. Cigarette?
He offers her a cigarette.
Yes, I know.
God damn it. Frank straightens up, turns to Ed.
Where's Nordberg?
He's right here, Frank.
Frank looks down to see Norberg in front of him.
Right.
Frank gently sits down on the bed next to Norberg. Insert bed panel control. Frank accidentally tripping the hydraulic mechanism, jackknifing the bed. So Norberg's head winds up between his feet.
Hey, Frank.
Frank straightens out the bed.
Nordberg, it's Frank. Who did this to you? Nordberg, I can't hear you.
Honey?
I love you.
Yes, Nordberg, I love you too, but who were they?
No. Ship. A boat.
That's right, Nordberg, a boat. When you get together, we'll go sailing together on a boat. We'll take a cruise, just like last year.
No. Drugs. Drugs.
Hey, nurse, get some drugs for this man. Can't you see he's in pain? Give him a shot, someone, quick.
No.
The nurse injects a needle into Norberg's arm. He becomes even groggier.
Don't worry, Nordberg. Everything's going to be okay.
No. Heroin, Frank.
Frank looks around furtively.
That's a pretty tall order, Nordberg. You're going to have to give me a couple of days on that one.
Norberg goes unconscious. Mrs. Norberg breaks down again.
My poor Nordberg. He was such a good man. He never wanted to hurt anybody. Who would do such a thing?
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Oh, it could be some roving gang of thugs. Maybe a blackmailer, an angry husband, a gay lover.
Frank, get a hold of yourself.
This upsets Miss Norberg all the more.
A good cop, needlessly cut down and ambushed by cowardly hoodlums.
Continuing, Mrs. Norberg sobs, looks up at the
No way for a man to die.
You're right, Ed. A parachute not opening, that's the way to die. Getting caught in the gears of a combine, having a nut bitten off by a Lapland, that's the way I want to go.
Miss Norberg is obviously upset. She falls into Frank's arms.
Frank, this is just terrible. No, we'll never have children.
Wilma, please. He's not even dead yet. We'll talk about our lives later.
Miss Norberg separates from Frank. Mucus stretches ridiculously from her nose to Frank's lapel.
Don't worry, Wilma. Your husband's gonna be all right. There's nothing to worry about. Just think positively. Don't let any doubts ever creep into your mind.
Miss Norberg is trying.
He's right, Wilma. But I wouldn't wait until the last minute to fill out those organ donor cards.
She's more upset. Ed gives up.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Now, Wilma, we want you to know that as soon as he's well, Nordberg is welcome back at Police Squad.
Well, unless he's a drooling vegetable, but I think that's only common sense.
She begins to cry. Frank pats her gently on the shoulder. She takes a photograph out of her purse.
Oh no. But I found this at home. In a drawer.
A photograph.
Insert photograph. It's a picture of a cargo ship. The letters painted on the bow read, I love you. Wide angle on.
I love you out of Caracas, a Panamanian ship. Frank, when Nordberg said he loved you, he was telling you the name of the ship.
I realize that now.
Better check this out.
I want every available man on this.
I can't spare anyone, Frank. You know we're in charge of security for the Queen Elizabeth's visit, and we're short-handed already.
Wilma, I promise you one thing. Whatever scum is behind this, not a single cop in this police force will have a minute's rest until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat.
Continued, as they exit, Frank turns off a bank of lights and the hum of the life support system winds down. Some red emergency lights flash. Interior hallway day, Miss Norberg follows Frank and Ed down the hallway as a wave of hospital emergency personnel rush past them towards Norberg's room.
It's a code 11. Let's hurry.
Don't worry, Wilma. Just be grateful you're not the wife of that poor bastard.
Exterior City Hall establishing shot day. Interior City Hall press room day. It's a lavish press conference, complete with live radio and television coverage, photographers, etc. On the dais are numerous state and city officials. The mayor is speaking.
And of course, we all realize what a momentous occasion this will be. That due to extraordinary efforts of some civic leaders, Queen Elizabeth has included the city of Los Angeles as one of the 3 cities she will visit on her American tour.
There is applause from the audience. Flashbulbs pop. During the speech, camera pans the dais past the mayor, dignitaries, state and city officials. There are pitchers full of water all along the dais. And when the camera gets to Frank at the end of the dais, he's pouring the last drop from one pitcher and starting another, filling another glass as he listens intently.
I also wish to extend our gratitude to Mr. Vincent Ludwig, chairman of the Royal Welcoming Committee. Mr. Ludwig has worked tirelessly, taking time off from his busy schedule as one of our city's most respected businessmen.
Polite applause. A reporter stands. Mr. Mayor, will there be any additional security officers added to the police force during the Queen's visit?
Because the eyes of the world will be on Los Angeles during the coming week, we have placed the Queen's security in the hands of our elite Special Division Police Squad, represented here today by Lieutenant Frank Drebin.
Frank, there is scattered applause. He's just drained another glass of water. The second pitcher stands empty in front of him.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We hear some audience members yelling, louder, louder. A woman official sitting next to Frank removes her lapel mic and gives it to Frank. We hear Frank's amplified wheezing and grunting as he struggles to attach the clip to his lapel. He finally does it and turns to the audience.
Thank you, Your Honor. Protecting the safety of the Queen is a task gladly accepted by Police Squad. For no matter how silly the idea of having a queen might seem to us, we Americans must be gracious and considerate hosts.
Thank you, Lieutenant Drebin.
Frank takes a drink of water and descends the dais.
Of course, we all have stake in seeing that this portion of the Queen's American Goodwill Tour is completed successfully and safely.
As the mayor starts to talk, Frank steps behind a wall, entering the men's room. Podium, mayor.
And we of the city of Los Angeles take pride in the fact that the Queen has chosen our city to visit.
Over the PA system, we hear a loud zip.
Of course, it is a reflection on all of the various committees and boards and their members who have worked tirelessly to make this week a reality.
Interior bathroom. Frank is in a stall. Back in the press room, over the loudspeaker, we begin to hear Frank relieve himself. It starts out slow, an on and off start.
And indeed, it is the people of Los Angeles, all of our citizens from every walk of life, who will be able to share in the celebration and honor of this historic occasion.
The audience listens, stunned, loudspeakers to be seen on camera. It's a steady stream. It picks up momentum. It's as loud as though the audience were in the bathroom with him. The mayor continues on bravely.
Especially exciting will be the Queen's public appearance.
It sounds like someone is running a garden hose into the toilet. The mayor presses on valiantly.
On the evening of Her Majesty's arrival, Mr. Ludwig has planned a formal dinner reception to be held at the Park Plaza Hotel.
The mayor stops her speech completely, unable to proceed under these circumstances. The length and power of this P cannot be ignored. It finally dribbles to a stop. The mayor gets ready to resume her speech, then it starts at full force once more. The mayor throws up her hands and takes a seat. Everyone waits. Interior living room day, a family is watching the press conference on TV. The only sound is peeing. They are aghast. Interior car, close up on a radio as we hear peeing. Pan to driver, he's dumbfounded. Back in the press conference, the urinating slows down. The mayor perks up. Could this be the finish? No, it starts up strong again. The mayor is astounded.
Old Man River, that old man river, he just keeps rolling.
We hear the impact of the torrent shift from water to tile.
Whoops.
He sighs. The thunderous urination finally comes to a slow stop. A beat, a few dribbles more, then it starts up strong for a few seconds more, then comes to a stop. A few final drops as Frank obviously just shook the weasel free of any dew. He shivers. The mayor, off screen, thunderous toilet flush, her head buried in her hands in total surrender. Exterior dock area, day. A man is sitting on a pylon fishing. Frank and Ed drive up. The car hits the pylon, sending the fisherman into the water. Frank and Ed get out of the car. They pass in front of a uniformed cop, speaking through a megaphone to a crowd of two onlookers.
Please disperse. Please disperse. There's nothing for you to see here. Keep moving.
Frank and Ed at the water's edge.
Where was Norberg found, Ed?
Right out there, Frank.
He points towards the water.
You want to take a dinghy?
No, I took care of that back at the press conference.
Ed looks at Frank, a bit puzzled. Frank is still staring out over the water.
You know, it just doesn't make any sense. A good cop, bright future, and then something like this
They
happens.
look over the water. Exterior of the water, daytime. There is a chalk outline of a body floating on the water. Nearby, cops are in a rowboat, dusting for prints and taking photos. Exterior dock area, day.
He was found by the night watchman. We better start checking around. I'm going to talk to the harbor master.
I'm going to walk around the docks, take a snoop.
Thought you took care of that.
Exterior docks, the foreman shack, day. Frank knocks on the door. A thuggish-looking character answers.
Yeah.
Frank displays his badge. His fold-out credit card organizer unfolds down to the ground.
Lieutenant Drebin, police squad. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Hey, look, I already told the cops everything I know. I swear to God, the girl was 18. What was the guy to do?
No, I'm not here about that.
Oh, Christ. You guys still hopping about my condo across the boys academy? I told you, I was bird watching.
No, it's about the body.
Look, I didn't know she was dead. It looked like she was sleeping.
No, it's about something else. Does this face look familiar
He
to you?
shows them a picture of Norberg.
I don't know. My memory ain't too great.
Maybe this will refresh your
Frank
memory.
slips him a 10.
I don't know.
Frank gives him a 20.
Yeah, I remember him. I used to see him around. Why? Why do you want to know?
I'm not so sure I can tell you.
Maybe this will help.
Foreman gives him a 10.
I really don't think I should.
Foreman gives him a 20.
All right, his name's Nordberg. He was a cop.
He was no cop. He was dealing H.
What?
I'm telling you, he was dirty.
Frank realizes the accusation.
Nordberg? Why, you sniveling scum, how would you know?
I'm not sure. My memory's getting hazy.
Maybe this will bring it back.
Hands him a 10.
I don't know. Still kind of fuzzy.
Frank,
How about this?
sorry. Frank gives him a 20.
I'm a chatterbox. He worked at Ludwig Shipping. He tried to push some of the stuff on one of my boys. So what are you gonna do about it, Copper?
Well, I can't say for sure right now.
Maybe this will make you sure.
He hands him a 10.
Well, it's really police business.
Well, how about this?
Hands him a 20.
All right, I'm going straight downtown to Ludwig Shipping's corporate office. Then we'll see if you're telling the truth.
He starts to leave.
Don't you want the address?
I don't think I can afford it.
He exits. Exterior, top of a tall building, day. The camera starts on letters on top of the building. Ludwig Towers. Camera pans to reveal typical establishing shot of a tall building. Frank's car rounds the corner and comes to a stop in the foreground, hitting the car in front of him, which goes out of frame. Frank exits the car and starts toward the building. Interior, Ludwig's office. Close up, Japanese fighting fish, day, swimming freely in a lush aquarium. Through the aquarium, we see secretary opening apartment door and Frank entering. A goldfish drops into frame, and the fighting fish devours it in a single deft swipe.
Mr. Ludwig, this is Lieutenant Drebin.
They shake hands.
Ah, Lieutenant.
The feeling is mutual.
Ludwig shows Frank a cigar box, offering him one.
Cuban?
No, Dutch-Irish. My father's from Wales. You were probably thrown off by my puffy sleeves.
Ludwig is not quite sure who he's dealing with here.
Ah, please sit down, Lieutenant.
Thank you. Your office is quite impressive, Mr. Ludwig.
Ah, thank you, Lieutenant. Most of the objects in this room I have collected over a period of many years. A Ming vase, a Degas. That player piano is one of its kind. Priceless.
Ludwig has walked over to the fish tank.
I like to think they are objects which reflect my personality, like the Japanese fighting fish, beautiful, graceful, elegant, yet single-minded of a purpose, of deadly when it finds what it wants. This particular one valued at over $20,000.
He walks back over to Drebin.
A luxury item, to be certain, but as you can see, I'm a man who enjoys the finer things in life.
He notices Frank staring at the pen in front of him.
Oh, that is a rare samurai pen, a gift from Emperor Hirohito. Its value is beyond estimation.
Frank takes the pen and examines it.
Fascinating.
Ludwig turns to take in an extraordinary vista from his window.
But I'm sure that you didn't pay me this visit to hear a lecture on fine art, Lieutenant. To what do I owe the honor?
Frank is examining the pen and toying with it.
I'm investigating the attempted murder of one of your dock workers.
Twing! The pen flips out of his hand, zings across the room, and plops into the aquarium. Frank goes to retrieve it.
A man by the name of Norberg, a police officer.
Angle on Ludwig, under control, but this news has taken him by surprise.
He's still alive, then?
In the background, Frank runs across to the aquarium. He dips his hand in to grab the pen. The fighting fish swipes at him, just missing as Frank removes his arm, now drenched to the elbow.
Yes, he was shot 6 times, but fortunately the bullets missed every major organ. The salt water preserved him until he was found.
So they were able to get to him, the hospital, in time.
Yes, he's in intensive care at Our Lady of the Never Had the Pickle.
Well, this certainly comes as a shock to me, Lieutenant. But as you know, I'm not the kind of man who takes this kind of thing lightly.
Ludwig turns back to look out the window. Frank surreptitiously goes back in for the pen. This time he's too slow. The fish latches onto his hand. He yanks his hand from the water, the fish firmly attached.
And there's no room in my organization for any type of criminal activity.
Frank tries to pull the fish from his finger behind his back.
Look out there, a massive industrial complex, built by me. Do you have any idea what was out there just 5 years ago?
Frank's hands are now in front of his face as the fish releases and grabs Frank's nose.
Yeah!
Yeah, you bet you do. Orange groves, acres of them, as far as the eye could see.
Frank yanks the fish loose and holds it at arm's length. With his free hand, he reaches into the tank and grabs the pen. Ludwig turns to face Frank just as Frank hides the fish and pen behind his back.
Are you all right, Lieutenant? Let me get you a tissue.
Frank's nose is a little red and puffy. He tries to act as though all is well. Ludwig goes through his desk looking for a tissue.
Has this Officer Nordberg been able to tell you anything.
Frank brings his hand back in front of him, revealing a limp, dead fighting fish skewered neatly onto the head by the pen. Frank is shocked but stays cool.
Well, so far he hasn't been able to tell us anything, but as soon as he regains consciousness, we'll see if he can still play the guitar.
Frank tosses the impaled carcass into the aquarium just as Ludwig looks up and hands him a tissue.
I beg your pardon.
Look, I've taken enough of your time. Now, what I'd like to do is take a look at your employment records and talk to someone in personnel, if you don't mind, of course.
Of course.
He presses the intercom and hands Drebin a tissue.
Dominique, would you please send in Miss Spencer? As you know, I'm quite busy making last-minute preparations for the royal visit, but I'll have my assistant provide you with anything you need.
Thank you for your cooperation. I'll make a note of it in my report.
They shake hands. Frank's sleeve is drenched and dripping heavily on Ludwig's desk. Interior, Ludwig's office staircase, day. Suddenly, we hear a door open. Frank looks behind him to a large, elegant balcony. Dramatic music. There, standing at the railing, is Ludwig's gorgeous personal assistant, Jane Spencer.
Ah, Miss Spencer. This is Lieutenant Frank Drebin from Police Squad.
Hello, Mr. Drebin.
Hello.
As the mysteriously romantic music continues, Jane begins to descend the curving staircase, her eyes fixed on Frank. Close up on Jane, and as her eyes are fixed on Frank, she misses a step. Close up on Frank, his eyes follow Jane as we hear her falling down the flight of stairs. Close up on Jane, she rises into shot, unfazed and not a hair out of place, still staring at Frank. She motions for him to follow her. Continuing on Frank, he exits after her.
Her hair was the color of gold in oil paintings.
Interior hallway date. The camera follows Frank and Jane from behind. On Frank, following, checks her out.
She had a full set of curves and the kind of legs you'd like to suck on for a day.
On Jane, the camera pans up her legs, and we get to her head. She's turning around to look back at him, coyly.
She was giving me a look I could feel in my hip pocket.
She doesn't notice the door just in front of her. On Frank, he winces as he sees her slam into the door.
This was starting to get interesting, but I knew I had to stop it before I couldn't stop it.
Interior file room, day. Jane is on a little stepladder reaching up for a box on the top shelf. As she reaches up, her skirt hikes up a bit. The skirt keeps going up, 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 out of frame. Continued, Frank is looking up in wonderment.
Nice beaver.
Angle on Jane as she's holding a stuffed beaver in her arms. He had just taken it off the top shelf.
Oh, thank you. I just had it stuffed.
He puts the beaver aside.
Why don't you let me help you with that?
Thank you.
Frank lifts the box from the shelf and sets it on a small table. She hands him a file.
This should be what you were looking for, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
He looks through the file.
I've heard police work is dangerous.
It is. That's why I carry a big gun.
Aren't you worried it might go off accidentally?
Well, I used to have that problem.
What did you do about it?
I just think about baseball.
He glances down at her ankle. She's wearing an ankle bracelet. Frank admires it.
That's a honey of an ankle bracelet you got there.
Oh, did it slip down there again?
Frank ponders this for a moment.
Yes. Well, I'll look through these files tonight and return them. Will tomorrow be okay?
That'll be fine, but we're in no rush. I mean, whenever you're through.
Thank you. I wish I could repay you for your kindness. How about dinner? I know a little out of the way place where they have great Viking food.
Well, that's quite tempting after, but I'm afraid I'll need my sleep this evening, tomorrow being Arbor Day and all.
Ah, yes, of course. Perhaps some other time then.
Perhaps. How about a rain check?
Well, let's just stick with dinner. Thank you for your help, Miss Spencer.
Frank exits. She watches as he leaves. She could definitely go for this kind of guy.
Well?
Jane turns around, surprised. Ludwig has entered the room.
Oh, Mr. Ludwig, you startled me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to know if you got the lieutenant everything he wanted.
Oh, yes, I gave him copies of the shipping and employment records for Pier 32.
Oh, good. He's an intriguing fellow, Lieutenant Drebin, don't you think?
Well, I don't know. I only just met him. He seems very nice.
Jane, I realize this is an unusual request, but if there's something illegal going on in this company, I need to know everything about it so we can root out any wrongdoers. That's why I want you to, well, get to know Lieutenant Drebin a little better. Find out what he knows.
But Mr. Ludwig, don't you think this is best handled by the police?
We are getting the police. We are letting the police handle it. But this company needs to know the facts quickly before anything gets into the newspapers. Don't forget, I have responsibility to the stockholders.
Well, I guess if you put it that way, I'll try my best.
That's better. I'm sure you will.
Ludwig exits as the camera moves in on Jane. She's not really convinced. Exterior, police squad, day. Frank's car drives up and hits some garbage cans on the sidewalk. In the driver's seat, the impact causing the airbag to inflate. Frank, pressed back against the seat, opens the door and squeezes out. After a great deal of difficulty, Frank emerges from the car and slams the door. He's got the Ludwig file in his hands. Insert close up on a gear shift, the airbag still expanding, moves the lever into neutral. Angle on Frank as he's walking alongside the building towards the entrance. Wider angle, he's walking towards the entrance and the car is following behind him. A woman walking the other way screams at Frank.
Hey, look out!
Frank whirls around just in time to see a car bearing down on him. We, of course, realize that it is his own car. Frank dodges out of the way just in time as the car rolls past.
Hey, watch it, buddy. Pull over, police.
The car keeps going. Frank pulls out his gun and gives a warning shot. The car keeps going and Frank shoots it in the gas tank. It explodes and scatters lots of people, ultimately hitting a fire hydrant.
Anyone catch the license plate? Anyone get a look at the driver? All right, get back. Move along. Everything's under control. There's nothing to see here.
Interior, police lab, day. Frank enters. Painted on the frosted glass is letters saying ECILOP lab. Frank spots Ed and Ted Olson leaning out the window.
Ah, hello, Ted. You have those...
We got some action out here.
Frank joins them at the window.
What's up?
We're testing that new anti-graffiti wall.
Here's some few customers.
Exterior on the street, some gang types approach the wall with spray cans and start spraying their mindless writing on the wall. Interior, police squad, day.
It's set to react when the spray hits the sensors.
Back on the street, the gang continues to spray the wall. The wall suddenly spits back its own spray, covering the offenders in spray paint. The gang scatters in panic. Back to the police lab, Frank is impressed. Looks back through the binoculars to the exterior street view. His point of view, the wall is spraying itself with a fresh coat of white paint. Back in the police lab.
Good work, Ted. What will you lab boys think of next?
The camera tracks with them as Olson and Ed go through a doorway. Frank goes around between the doorway and the camera. They come to a table with a shoe on it.
Well, here's something we developed only yesterday to the casual observer, an ordinary shoe. But in actuality...
Insert shoe, a knife springs out of the toe like a switchblade. Interior police lab, day.
Makes quite a handy weapon.
Now Olson swings out more knives, various tools, scissors, bottle opener, screwdriver, corkscrew, etc.
And everything a cop in the field would need. We call it the Swiss Army shoe.
Ed is fascinated by the shoe. He examines it more closely.
And you see this cufflinks I'm wearing?
Yes.
Well, they're not just cufflinks. Each one fires a single pin-sized dart that knocks out your victim for a few minutes, but does no permanent damage.
He holds it up to his eye.
Here, let me demonstrate on Ed.
Ed has not been paying attention to all this and looks up when he hears his name.
Huh?
Mr. Olson presses the little button on the cufflink. Ed grabs his neck and falls.
Ted! Why?
Don't worry, he'll be up and around in no time. Why don't you take a pair, Frank?
Well, actually, as it happens, I can use a pair of cufflinks.
Mr. Olson gives a pair to Frank.
Good, I think you'll like them.
Al enters. Since he's 7 feet tall, his head is cut out of frame. He's holding up a microscope. You wanted this, Chief? He sits it on the desk. In his other hand, he holds a partially peeled banana.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Al.
Say, you've got something on the side of your mouth there, Al.
Al puts his hand up to his mouth off screen.
No, the other side.
Al puts his hand up. Al again puts his hand up there. This time, a big chunk of banana falls on the desk. Frank looks down at it. Al turns to leave.
As you had requested, Frank, we took some fiber samples from Nordberg's jacket. I'm afraid it doesn't look good.
What do you mean?
Ed appears from behind the desk, rising a bit groggily and rubbing the back of his neck.
Take a look for yourself.
Frank looks through the microscope at a slide, but he keeps putting his closed eye over the microscope.
I can't see it.
Use your open eye, Frank.
Oh, yeah, I see it now.
At first glance, it would appear to be the normal cotton fibers, but when we focus in closer, we discovered a fine white powder.
Frank turns the knob too far and cracks the glass slide, breaking it in two.
We tested it. Pure heroin.
Frank raises his head from the broken slide. He takes a quick look up to see if anyone's noticed. No one has.
Maybe the doc foreman was right, Frank.
Impossible. You've known Norberg as long as I have. I think it could be that he was onto something or somebody, and that somebody wanted him out of the way.
Now, you may be right, Frank. But I can't let my personal feelings get in the way of duty.
Are you saying that...
I'm saying that the Queen arrives here day after tomorrow. If the press should pick this up, that Nordberg is still on the force, it'll be an embarrassment to the police and the city. I'm giving you 24 hours to clear Nordberg.
The camera moves in on Frank as this last bit sinks in. Interior Ludwig's office day. Ludwig is standing over his aquarium, incredulous, holding his dead, skewered fish and priceless pen. The secretary ushers in Papschmier, who we recognize from the meeting in Beirut.
Is there something wrong, Mr. Ludwig?
Ludwig looks up, surprised.
Oh no, it's nothing.
Then may we get down to business?
Certainly. I can carry out your request. My price is $20 million.
There's a pause.
The price is not a problem, but there is some concern on the part of those I represent that you will be able to complete such a difficult task.
Tell me, Mr. Papschmier, in all the world, who is the best assassin?
Papschmier thinks for a moment.
Well, I would think anyone who manages to conceal his identity as an assassin.
But there is even more ideal assassin. One who doesn't know he or she is an assassin. Care for some tea?
Yes, thank you.
Continuing, he pressed a button behind his desk. The secretary walks in.
Service for two, Dominique.
She nods and turns away. Ludwig presses a button on his key ring. The secretary, her watch beeps. She stops dead in her tracks, holding her watch to her ear and listening. As if in a trance, she turns around, opens a drawer, takes out a pistol, and points it at Papschmier.
I must kill Papschmier. I must kill Papschmier.
She pulls the trigger. Papschmier jumps from his chair, but the gun only clicks. It's not loaded. The secretary continues to click away robotically and then suddenly turns the gun on herself and pulls the trigger. Ludwig and Papschmier exchange glances. Ludwig remains calm throughout. Ludwig presses the button again. The secretary snaps out of it, immediately dropping the gun to the floor.
Will that be with cream and sugar, sir?
Cream only, thank you.
The secretary nods and turns to leave and stops.
Oh, there's a gun on the floor, sir.
Just leave it there, Dominique. It's all right. The tea, please.
She nods and exits.
Tell me, Mr. Papschmier, have you ever seen sensory-induced hypnosis?
I think I just have, but how you will get her near the target?
Oh, I doubt whether it would be her. Good secretaries are so hard to find. It seems to me anyone can be an assassin.
Dun, dun, dun. Papschmier is impressed. The music stings. Exterior, hospital, day. Workers are on scaffolding, renovating the building. Frank drives up, ramming into the scaffolding. As he gets out of the car, planks are falling down into frame, followed by tools, paint buckets, workers, etc. Toward the end of the scaffolding, tables, chairs, a radiator, and a couch fall. Frank enters the hospital. Interior, hospital corridor, day. A doctor, middle-aged, dressed in a surgical gown, mask around his neck, approaches the door to Nordberg's room. A nurse passes by.
Oh, Dr. Alfred, I have Mrs. Kepley's chart if you're ready to go over it.
Of course, I'll be there. Finish checking on this patient.
Yes, doctor.
The nurse walks off. The doctor enters Norberg's room and closes the door. Thug 1 enters frame, removing a beeper key ring from a pocket and presses a button. Interior hospital day, Frank approaches the nurse's reception desk, the file folder under his arm.
I'm here to see Officer Nordberg.
I'm sorry, no one is allowed.
Frank glances down at the hall in Norberg's room.
Where's the police guard outside of that room?
Oh, Lieutenant Drebin called and sent him home.
Lieutenant Drebin? Call police squad right away. Tell him we got a 411 in progress.
A nurse screams.
A 411! Oh my God, fire!
No, I mean it's a 1411.
11! Oh my God, a poison gas leak!
She screams again.
No, a 1414.
She jumps and plunges out a window.
1212.
He shrugs and rushes down the hallway. Interior Norberg's room day. The doctor, as if in a trance, picks up a pillow and puts it over Norberg's face.
I must kill Nordberg. I must finally kill Nordberg.
Ominous music as the doctor presses the pillow down, trying to suffocate the unconscious Norberg. Interior hospital corridor, Frank runs to Norberg's door and opens it. Interior Norberg's room on the doctor, he sees the door opening, shoves the bed towards Frank. Angle on Frank as he dodges the oncoming bed, but hits the wall. The impact causes Norberg to catapult out of the bed. His feet still planted, and he swings up on his heels and slams face first into the wall, then falls back onto his bed. Frank starts towards the doctor. The doctor throws the pillow at Frank. The pillow catches Frank and he groans and struggles with it as though it were acid. The doctor tries to open the window. Norberg, dizzy, starts to get up in the bed. Frank finally throws off the pillow, sees the doctor escaping out the window, and grabs a vase and throws it at the doctor, who ducks. The vase bounces off the wall and hits Norberg in the head. Continuing, angle in a doorway, a nurse appears in the doorway.
All right, come on, you guys, take it outside.
Doctor jumps out the window. Frank follows after him. Exterior street outside the hospital on the doctor during the day. The doctor jumps out of the window, runs into traffic. Cars swerve to a stop. The doctor throws a man out of his car, steals the car, and drives off. Frank jumps out the window and fires at the car. He looks around. He jumps into the back seat of a teen driving school car. Interior driving school car day. A student is behind the wheel. Glasses, braces, pimples, and chubby. 4 times cursed. The thin, elderly, bald driving instructor is in a short-sleeved white shirt and a bad tie. A career teacher.
Drebin, police, follow that car.
The student turns to the instructor in panic. This is her first time out.
All right, Stephanie, check your mirrors. That's right. Signal. Good. Now pull away from the curb into traffic. Easy. Fine.
Interior doctor's car day. The doctor glances at his speedometer. Close up on the speedometer, it's jumping up to 65 miles per hour. In the driving school car, in traffic, nice and safe place. Every move shows an unsure driver is at the wheel. Frank is impatient and looks at the speedometer. Close up on the speedometer to show sneaking up on 20 miles per hour. Frank is annoyed. He's losing the doctor. He throws his hands into the air in exasperation. Suddenly, renewed hope. Frank's point of view shows the doctor's car has been slowed down by a detour. Frank fires a shot out the window and the doctor floors it. Takes a wide right. Frank.
Faster.
Instructor.
Give it some gas. Good. Take a right.
Frank is firing out the window. The doctor is returning fire. Stephanie hits the gas to the floor. The driving school car, in an alley now, takes a wide, wild right and enters the alley. Frank is firing. The doctor is returning fire.
That was a little wide. When coming out of a turn, don't jerk on the wheel.
Bullets take off a mirror and shatter the windshield. Steffi, bug-eyed, frightened, windshield glass snowflaked onto her hair.
Now, normally you wouldn't be going 95 down the wrong way of a one-way street.
Exterior of the doctor's car at the end of the alley. He grabs a sharp left. Exits as a truck enters the alley. In the exterior alley daytime, truck and driving school car are barreling head on. In the driving school car, a horrified Steffi looks to the instructor for guidance.
All right, apply the brakes.
She jams them to a stop. Steffi and the instructor lunge forward. The truck sounds its horn.
Put it in reverse.
Stephanie jams it into gear.
Gently press on the pedal.
She's way ahead of him. She's beating ass backwards down the alley.
Glance over your shoulder.
Exterior street in the driving school car. It swerves out of the alley and into the street, just missing the exiting truck.
Asshole!
Interior driving school day.
All right. Gently roll down your window. Give him the finger. That's it. Extend the finger farther. Good.
Frank spots the doctor's car.
There, to the left.
Give it some gas.
Stephanie peels out. On Frank, the G-forces push him deep into the seat. His face contorts like the test pilot on a rocket sled. On various streets, the driving school car, day, the chase continues at high speed. The doctor's car speeding, Steffi not far behind. Frank takes careful aim and squeezes off a shot. The doctor's car, the bullet punctures the gas tank. Stock footage showing a gas tank exploding. Frank reacts. Exterior doctor's point of view car headed towards a gas tanker. Stock footage shows the gas tanker explodes. Frank reacts. Interior the doctor's car, messed up but somehow continuing. Exterior the doctor's point of view car headed towards a missile trailer. Explosion. Stock footage of a missile trailer exploding. Frank reacts, disbelieving. Will this end? Interior, the doctor's car messed up even more, but continuing. The doctor's point of view in the car is headed towards a building with a sign that reads Feldman Fireworks. An explosion of a factory is shown in stock footage. Frank gets out of the driving school car. He holsters his gun. Angle on a crowd that is gathered to look at the fireworks display.
All right, folks, step back. Nothing to see here. Please disperse.
In the background, we see an Asian fellow leaping from the burning factory and running away. They're dressed in traditional Asian garb. Interior driving instructor car. A spent Steffi is drenched in sweat.
Now tomorrow we'll work on your parallel parking.
Bumper cars day. Frank is driving a bumper car getting banged around.
The attempt on Norberg's life left me shaken and disturbed. I tried to relax the best way I knew how, but questions kept buzzing around my head like a bee in a hamburg full of honey.
Interior aerobics class, workout center day. It's just Frank and a lot of incredibly gorgeous women.
What had Norberg been doing on the docks, and what was he trying to tell me?
Interior locker room of the workout center day. Frank exits the shower wrapped in a towel. Angle, he is the only male. He's oblivious to the young naked female bodies in the shower and at the lockers.
And would I ever be able to talk to my good friend again? The incident at the hospital had sent Norberg into a coma. The doctors were doing everything they could, but his chances weren't good. And all the questions kept coming up over and over again like bubbles in a case of club soda.
The girls spot Frank and scream. Exterior, city streets, night. Frank is walking.
Did Ludwig lie to me? I didn't have any proof, but somehow I didn't entirely trust him either.
Frank's feet on the pavement, walking.
Why was the I love you not listed in Ludwig's reports?
Feet come upon a hopscotch outline. They skip through it.
If it was, did he know about it?
Frank walking.
Who was this character in the hospital? Why was he trying to kill Norberg, and for whom?
Exterior, a field. Frank is literally in the middle of nowhere, miles and miles of flat landscape. Frank stops.
Where the hell was I?
Interior, a hall outside Frank's apartment, night. Frank is walking to his apartment door.
It was almost midnight when I got to my door. I just wanted a glass of Bosco and then slip under my blankets, but my night was just about to begin.
Frank finds his door ajar. He slams against the wall, takes out his gun, waits a beat, then dives through the door. Interior, Frank's apartment. Frank does the traditional rolling on the floor behind the couch, then makes his way across the floor using flips. His moves resemble an Olympic floor exercise. He checks out the room, dives and rolls into his bedroom. No one there. He does backflips out of the bedroom, through the living room, stopping at the kitchen door, but he hears a sound from inside the door. He bursts through it. Interior kitchen. Revealed is Jane. She's cooking, stirring something on the stove. She's only wearing one of Frank's shirts, looking seductive and gorgeous.
You're late.
It depends on what I'm late for.
You said we should have dinner sometime. Tonight became sometime.
She pokes a hunk of meat in a pot, shows it to Frank.
I'm boiling a roast. How hot and wet do you like it?
Very hot and awfully wet. You seem to know your way around a kitchen.
I'm just as handy in other rooms of the house.
That shirt looks familiar.
It should. It's yours. I didn't want to get stained or wrinkled. At least, not yet.
Mind if I slip into something more comfortable?
I'm great at undoing things.
Consider them undone.
He exits. Dissolve 2, the interior of the living room. Jane has set a table in front of the fireplace. The lights are trimmed. It's romantic. Frank enters. He's just straightening his tie. He's wearing another dark suit and dark tie.
Ah, that's better.
I hope you brought your appetite.
I brought everything.
Well then, dig in.
They sit and begin to eat.
Interesting. Almost as interesting as the photographs I saw today.
I was young. I needed the work.
They were taken at Ludwig's docks. A chip came in. A Panamanian chip. It wasn't on Ludwig's records.
Probably an oversight. How's your meat?
You be the judge of that.
He places a piece of meat in her mouth. She seductively sucks on his finger.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 9 more.
He takes out a photo of the I love you.
Have you seen this ship?
I don't know. I don't think it's one of ours, but we deal with so many ships. Has Officer Nordberg been able to tell you anything yet?
No, unfortunately, there was an attempt on his life, and he's back in a coma.
Oh, that's terrible. The world is such a violent place.
If it wasn't, I'd be out of a job. I'd be back on the circuit riding motocross. But I'd give it all up tomorrow to live in a world without crime.
That's beautiful.
She kisses him.
This is all happening too fast.
She kisses him again.
I've been hurt before.
I'm sorry.
Her game is over. She's falling for this guy. Frank shakes his head sadly.
That's the same old story. Boy finds girl, boy loses girl, girl finds boy forgets the girl, boy remembers girl dies in tragic blimp accident over the Orange Bowl on New Year's Day.
Goodyear?
No, the worst.
Oh, you poor dear.
God damn it. She gives him a hug. Tears well up in her eyes.
Now, I didn't mean to upset you.
No. It's not done. It's just... Why did you have to be so wonderful? Frank, there's something I have to tell you.
He puts his finger over her lips.
There's no need to say anything. Whatever your past is, it doesn't matter anymore. Maybe we're just 2 lonely souls that have found each other.
Hey, funny face.
She playfully tweaks his nose. On Jane, she unbuttons one button. Her shirt falls seductively to the floor. On Frank, he unbuttons his top button. His suit peels off and shoulders seductively and falls to the ground. He stares at her in wonderment.
I want you to know, I practice safe sex.
So do I.
Interior bedroom, romantic music up. They're rolling around on the bed in romantic embrace. They're each wearing huge body condoms. They fit skin tight, and their arms are fitting through special sleeves as though they're going to be handling plutonium. Their faces are distorted, pulled tight as behind a stocking. Music swells as they roll around the bed in ecstasy. We hear lots of squeaking sounds. Dissolve 2, exterior, beach, day. Frank and Jane running on the beach to a Herman's Hermits song, It's On to Something Good. Montage, exterior, carnival, cotton candy stand, day. At a carnival, they watch the man make them a cotton candy. Frank wants to try. He sticks his hand in the machine. The candy is wrapped around Frank's arm. They laugh. Interior, tattoo parlor, day. Getting matching tattoos. They laugh. Interior, barbershop, day. Jane watches Frank get a haircut. Hair covers him and the floor. He gets out of the chair. His hair hasn't changed. Interior, Cessna, day. Frank flying a Cessna. Frank is at the controls. He takes his hand off the wheel, laughs when Jane screams. Interior, ski mock-up, day. Skiing. Frank pushes off and starts down a huge ski jump. Cut to ABC Wide World of Sports clip, stock footage, and the agony of defeat. Insert Jane helping Frank up. They both laugh. Exterior, hot dog stand, day. Eating a hot dog at a stand. Frank shares his mustard bottle. The cap wasn't on. His shaking sprays mustard all over her dress. They laugh. Exterior, rodeo, day, stock footage. A rider takes a nasty spill. Insert Frank helping Jane up. They both laugh. Exterior, water, day. Frank and Jane emerge wearing masks and snorkels. They both laugh. Exterior, movie marquee, day. A movie theater marquee reads Platoon. Frank and Jane both laugh exiting. Exterior, pier, day. Playing rock, paper, scissors. They laugh. Exterior, beach, sunset, running in slow-mo, jumping in slow-mo, bumping into each other. Oh, I'm sorry. Bumping into another couple running the other way in slow-mo, laughing in slow-mo. As the song ends, they are in a kiss. Is this where we're breaking?
We can keep going, or we can just stop here. Actually, I'll stop here. Hang on.
Sorry. Exterior, street where Jane lives, night. Frank and Jane are standing under a street lamp kissing. They break their embrace and begin walking hand in hand.
I had a wonderful day, Frank.
You mean it, Jane? Don't feel you have to say it just because we exchanged bodily fluids.
No, I mean it. You're very special. Can I interest you in a nightcap?
No thanks, I don't wear them. Actually, I'm on duty tonight. We got a stakeout, but I'll be thinking of you. I'll call you tomorrow.
They kiss, savoring the magic of the moment. They part, still holding hands, letting go reluctantly. Frank backs away, does a little hop, skip, and turns to go. As he disappears down the street, we hear a reprise of the Herman's Hermit song. Superimposed low left a la MTV music video, a credit block. Oh god, that's funny. I forgot about that. Exterior, Ludwig's office building, night. It's one of those elegant, old, elaborately carved buildings from the 20s. We pan down to reveal Ed and Frank in a car parked across the street. Interior car, Frank and Ed are eating pistachio nuts. Their hands and mouths are covered with pink dye. Frank's got somewhat of a new hairdo, a stupid little greased curl on his forehead. He's in love.
I tell you, the answer's up there, Ed, in Ludwig's apartment. Call it what you will, a hunch, woman's intuition. This guy Ludwig knows more than he's letting on.
A hunch won't stand up in court, Frank. Where's your hard facts?
Look, he was the only person outside of ourselves who knew that Norberg was still alive. Then the next thing, some thug tries to knock off Norberg in the hospital.
Yeah, that may be, but breaking into Ludwig's apartment, you're taking a big chance.
I know. But you take a chance getting up in the morning, crossing the street, sticking your face in a fan. Wait a minute, there he is.
Exterior, office building, night. Ludwig leaves the building, gets into his car, and drives off. Interior, Frank and Ed's car. Frank starts to get out of the car.
Trust me on this one, Ed. I know I'm right.
Okay, Frank. But be careful.
Get yourself a good night's sleep. I'll see you in the morning.
He opens the car door. It's a bit of a struggle. Exterior, the car, night. We see the problem. A huge mound of pistachio shells is piled up against the door. God damn it. Interior, Ludwig's office hallway, night. Frank is trying to use a credit card to open the door. It doesn't work. He tries another one, and we see that he's got 7 or 8 of them on a key ring. The third one works, and the door opens. Interior, Ludwig's office, night. It's dark, the only illumination supplied by the moonlight, which streams through the large windows. Frank carefully closes the door. He checks out the room. He stealthily makes his way across the room. He can't leave a trace. The apartment has been searched. He opens a few drawers, finds nothing. Carefully closes them. He leaves one a crack open, returning it exactly the way he found it. He looks behind the books on the bookshelf. Maybe a secret hiding place will give some clue. Nothing. Always so careful, so meticulous. To the desk. Frank opens the desk drawer.
Bingo.
He takes a bingo card out of the drawer, returns it, closes the drawer, and returns the chair with accurate precision, the legs going back to the same indentations on the carpet. He stops at a player piano, turns it on briefly, then manually rewinds the music roll. Frank walks across to a shelf on which all sorts of valuable vases, crystals, and picture frames are displayed. Stops to examine some, replaces each one exactly. He continues on to a console in which there is a bank of switches and buttons, above which are 3 video security monitors. On the console, he pushes the buttons which are remote controls to the fireplace. It lights automatically, a curtain which opens and closes, and a drawer which conceals a wet bar. The Fireplace. Frank examines the picture over the mantel, looks behind it, straightens it out again. The coffee table. Frank sees a dangerous-looking cactus and a house of cards. On the floor next to the table is a fox rug. Frank walks over to the table. He's interested in a piece of paper under the house of cards, but how to get at it? Ever so carefully places his thumb and index finger around the paper, and with one lightning quick pull, removes it. The cards remain in place. He looks at the piece of paper. Insert on the paper, it's a note. $20 million deposited, Omani Bank, Zurich, upon proof of Queen's death. Signed Papschmier. Back to Frank, he is shocked. Music sting. He backs up over the fox head rug, when he steps on its neck, the teeth clamp down on his cuff. He puts the note in his jacket pocket and heads for the door. He's dragging the fox rug behind him. As he gets to the doorway, he suddenly catches sight of the fox out of the corner of his eye. He jumps and screams out, trying to shake the fox loose. He jumps and screams out. He stumbles against the player piano, tripping the switch, causing it to play the wild honky-tonk tune to start up. Frank stumbles backwards against the shelf of the crystal vases. A vase topples forward and falls. He catches it just in time. Then another falls. He catches it. Then another, then another. It looks like a circus act. He trips on a lamp cord. The crystal goes flying. A vase crashes into the console of the switches, lighting up the fireplace. Frank looks up in time to see the floor lamp start to fall forward and the oil painting over the fireplace. Frank lunges, removing the priceless painting just in the nick of time, but then he turns around, he stumbles over the table, skewering the painting on the cactus plant. Fireplace. One end of the floor lamp has fallen into the fireplace. Fire is traveling all the way to the other end of the lamp, igniting the curtains. Frank rushes to the window, takes off his coat, and tries to beat out the flames. Gives up, leaves the coat in the flames, then steps over to the console. He searches frantically for the button to turn off the fireplace. He tries one. The fireplace flames get even bigger. Frank tries every button. The curtains close and open, igniting the other. The wet bar door is open. Lights go on and off. A move screen comes down over the fireplace. A movie starts on the screen. Finally, Frank gets punched from off screen by a boxing glove at the end of the telescoping scissor extension. He runs to the dining room. Interior dining room. Frank grabs a tablecloth and dishes and glasses, and a candelabra go flying. Continued interior living room. He tries to beat out the flames. Something catches his eye on the security monitor. Exterior office building night. It's Ludwig exiting his limo and walking to the front door. Interior of Ludwig's office. Frank beats harder, giggity, but the curtains start to open and close wildly, controlled by the console switches. On Frank, water starts to fall on his head. He looks up. It's the ceiling fire sprinklers. They've gone on, drenching everything. The room starts to smoke up. Frank opens a window. 2 pigeons fly inside. Security monitors interior Ludwig at a building hallway night. Ludwig is emerging from an elevator walking down the hall. Frank shoos the pigeons out, only to have 6 more fly in. Frustrated, he pulls his gun and begins shooting at the pigeons, causing even more destruction. He shoots the fish tank, Ludwig's desk, bottles on the wet bar, security monitors, vases, etc. A chandelier falls into frame. Security monitors, interior Ludwig's apartment, door, night. Ludwig is at the door turning the key. Frank looks out the window. There's a ledge. He'll use it to escape. He climbs onto it. Exterior building. Frank is now on the ledge. He closes the window. Edging himself away from the windows, he looks down. His point of view is of the street 20 stories below. Exterior on the ledge. Frank at night shuffles his way along the small ledge. He's making his way past bas-relief sculptures of various naked human figures in heroic poses. He's grabbing onto whatever he can to keep his balance. He has his hands on a female carving's breasts. He makes his way, holding onto the breasts of the other carving that adorn the building. He reaches a corner. He reaches around the corner. Exterior window ledge night. A woman with large breasts is combing her hair in the open window. Frank's hand gropes for something to hang onto and grabs her breasts. For all he knows, it's another carving. The woman screams. Frank rounds the corner. The woman swings at him with her hairbrush. Frank loses his balance and grabs onto a male figure's penis. It breaks off in his hand, causing Frank to lose balance and fall backwards towards an open window. Interior bedroom night. Frank falls into the bedroom. It's the same woman, hysterically dialing the police. She turns to see Frank coming over to her holding a huge stone penis. She screams as we fade to the interior of the mayor's office. Morning. The mayor is reading from a sheet of paper to Ed and Frank.
entering without a search warrant, destroying property, arson, sexual assault with a concrete dildo? What the hell were you doing there in the first place?
Yes, I know, and I'm sorry about all that, Your Honor, but we now have reason to believe that Vincent Ludwig is involved in a plot to assassinate the Queen.
That's ridiculous. Where's this evidence?
I'm afraid it burned in the fire.
Gentlemen, Vincent Ludwig is a respected member of this community, and if we are all very nice to him from now on, he will agree not to press charges. Besides, police squad is hardly in a position to accuse anyone while one of your own men is suspected of drug dealing.
But, Your Honor,
Do I make myself clear?
Hawken and Frank get up to leave.
Yes, Your Honor. Quite clear. Good day.
They head towards the door.
Oh, Drebin,
Frank stops.
I don't want any more trouble like you had last year on the South Side. Understand? That's my policy.
yeah, well, when I see 5 weirdos dressed in togas stabbing a guy in the middle of a park in full view of 100 people, I shoot the bastards. That's my policy.
The mayor's face reddens with anger.
It was the Shakespeare in the Park production of Julius Caesar, you moron. You killed 5 actors. Good ones.
Your Honor,
Drebin, you're going to forget about Vincent Ludwig, and your presence at the Queen's reception tonight will not be necessary. Is that understood?
Thank you, Your Honor. Goodbye.
Ed hustles Frank out before he can reply. Interior Ludwig's office day. Ludwig is standing in the middle of the charred hulk that was his apartment. We see the remnants of all his prized possessions. 2 of his thugs are picking through the wreckage in the background. Ludwig is holding a broken shard of Ming vase that is in his hands.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
We're trying to locate.
Did I ask you what
You're trying to do.
No, Mr. Ludwig, I
want you to get this pig where he breathes. I want you to find this Nancy boy, Frank Drebin. I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground. I want to go there in the middle of the night and piss in the ashes.
Interior, front hall of Frank's apartment, night. Frank enters dejectedly and takes off his coat. Hanging on a coat tree, he takes off his shoulder holster by unbuttoning it in the back like a bra. He hangs it with his coat. Interior, kitchen, night. Frank walks in and turns on the radio.
And the plane has taxied to a stop. They're rolling out the steps, and any minute now we expect the doors to open.
Frank opens his refrigerator and takes out a carton of milk, smells it, winces, and pours it out into the sink. It comes out in huge chunks.
And we'll get our first glimpse of the Queen as she begins her visit to Los Angeles area in over 22 years.
Frank next removes a jar of mayonnaise from another shelf and looks at the label. Insert label, it reads best of used by June 1982. Frank places it gingerly on the counter.
Well, that's right, Al, and it's a beautiful balmy evening for it.
The doorbell rings. He turns off the radio and goes to answer. Interior, front hall of Frank's apartment, night. Frank opens the door, and it's Jane.
Jane.
Frank.
They embrace. Jane kicks up her leg. Frank does the same thing. They separate.
I tried to call. Your line was so busy, so I just came over. You know, I left something here the other night.
I know.
He pulls out a pair of pink panties marked Tuesday out of his pocket.
No, it was an address book.
Oh.
He looks at the panties.
Whose are those?
Gee, must have got these out of forensics. A lot of confusion in the lab lately.
He quickly throws them away, bringing her into the kitchen.
I was just fixing myself a little dinner. Are you hungry?
Well, maybe just a bite.
They walk into the kitchen.
I just came from Vincent Ludwig's. He wanted me to ask you to meet him tonight.
They come to a stop.
Jane, I think there's something you ought to know. I was at Vincent Ludwig's place last night.
Oh, how nice. Did he show you his collection of priceless Ming vases? Oh, and all those rare oil paintings? How about the wonderful player piano?
She starts to hum the tune that played while Frank destroyed the apartment. Frank is getting more and more distressed.
Jane, please, just listen to me. Vincent Ludwig may be involved in a number of criminal activities.
Jane opens the freezer compartment. There's one huge block of ice with food items frozen inside of it.
Frank, stop it. Vincent Ludwig is a well-respected, generous, kind man. It's just too bad you don't know him like I do.
She closes it.
Oh, yeah? And how's that?
What's that supposed to mean?
They stare at each other for a moment. Frank calms down. Jane looks in the refrigerator for some food.
I'm sorry, it's just that I worry about you. I don't trust him, and I don't want to see you mixed up in anything dangerous.
Jane picks out a Chinese food carton.
Ming Gardens. Are they back in business? I thought they closed 3 years ago.
Hands the carton to Frank.
Gee, has it been that long? Well, I don't really feel like Chinese tonight anyway.
Frank opens the carton, smells it, and faints dead away.
You know, it's sweet of you to be concerned about me, Frank, but you're wrong about Vincent Ludwig. He's such a gentleman and so generous. You really should get to know him better.
Frank gets up groggily.
He just wants to have a talk with you, to clear up any doubts you may have about him.
When?
Tonight. He wants you to meet him at the 7th Street Stockyards near 53rd Street entrance.
All right, but please promise me you'll be careful.
Of course, funny face. I will. For you.
She gives him a peck on the cheek and looks at her watch.
Oh, I've got to see you tomorrow.
She runs off. Frank is concerned. Kitchen counter, a hunk of moldy Swiss cheese is crawling around by itself. Exterior, 7th Street Stockyards night. Frank walks furtively up to a locked gate. He pulls out a hairpin from his hair and picks the lock. The lock opens. A sign reads, Ludwig Meatpacking, home of Dugout Donuts. Exterior, stockyard near building, night. Frank inside the stockyards hears near a large building surrounded by cows. He hears a door close. We see a dark figure emerge from the building.
Ludwig?
Drebin,
Yeah, I'm Drubbin.
I have a message for you from Vincent Ludwig.
The thug pulls out a gun and fires it at Frank.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Don't fire the gun when you talk.
Another shot zings past Frank. He ducks, pulls out his gun, and fires back. The thug runs behind a herd of cows. As they continue to exchange fire, cows start to drop. As they drop, their moos sound like groans. A cow is hit right next to Frank. She moos loudly. The thug's gun clicks. He's out of bullets. He runs into the building. Interior building, night. It is a huge processing plant where the beef is ground up and made into hot dogs. Frank enters cautiously. The smell is very bad. He has a determined look on his face as he walks cautiously down a long hall. The more he walks, the worse the smell and the sicker he gets. Suddenly, he hears a sound. He can't make out what it is. There's lots of echoes. When he turns the corner, he sees a thug leaning over a rail of a catwalk, sick from the smell. Frank is getting queasy. He fires his gun. He misses. The thug fires back. They're both running along the catwalks on either side of huge beef vats. Ew. Frank stops, shoots 3 times, and vomits all over the rail. The thug tries to get off a shot, but vomits all over the side of the catwalk instead. The 2 men are much closer now, but are all out of bullets. They slug it out. The fight is very slow, and each punch makes them even more queasy. The fact is that each is getting punched in the stomach isn't making things easier. At one point, they both stop fighting to vomit all over the rail, side by side. Finally, the thug is so sick that he can't fight back. He holds up his hands as if to say enough and turns towards the rail. Everything that's left in his stomach comes up in a huge lurching movement as he goes flying over the rail into the vat below. Interior, hotel entryway, hall, close up on a big cake at night. Tastelessly decorated with the face of the queen on it. It's being wheeled onto a cart into the ballroom. Clears frame and behind an announcement board which reads, The Vienna Room, Queen's Reception, Goldcrest Room, Lipschitz Bar Mitzvah. Richly attired guests are passing through the hall. The camera stops on Ed giving orders to plainclothes men.
Matthew, stake out that end. Adcock, check for anyone suspicious looking.
Frank enters.
Frank, what are you doing here?
I just came from the stockyards, trading shots with one of Ludwig's goons. They must be planning to do it tonight, Ed, here. That's why they were trying to knock me off.
Right. Better be on the lookout.
He flags down a woman and begins to frisk her with a handheld metal detector. It beeps wildly in the most undignified places. Her husband is indignant. Hey, what is the meaning of this? Frank turns on him. Ed is standing behind the man.
Okay, Sonny, just hold it right there, huh?
The man tries to take his wife away. Frank grabs him.
Come on, turn around easy, relax, nothing's gonna happen.
Frank starts to frisk him. Ed holds him closely from behind. Hey, I didn't do anything.
Oh yeah? Then what are you doing with this?
Frank pulls out a revolver from Ed's pocket, thinking it's from the suspect. He proceeds to pull out more guns, a badge, a knife from a leg. And finally a wallet. He examines the contents.
Look here, Chief, he's got a picture of your wife.
Ed sees this and slugs the guy. A crowd gathers.
Anybody else here seeing his wife?
That's okay, Frank. That's enough. Let's get to ballroom.
Interior ballroom night. 100 tables filled with guests eating dinner. Frank and Ed enter. Interior ballroom, close up on the cake, with the face of the queen on it. A knife cuts into the queen's image. Ooh, cryptic. Camera pans up to Victor Ludwig, seated at the table with Jane and other dignitaries, talking to a guest.
Any news from the stockyards?
Not yet, but don't worry, we've got to take care of. You'll never be bothered by Frank Drebin again.
The thug exits. The waiter is serving the cake. Suddenly, Ludwig looks up, surprised.
Drebin.
Frank?
You're both right. Surprised to see me, Mr. Ludwig?
God. Frank is handed a piece of cake by the waiter. Insert, it's the queen's nose. The frosting around the nostril unfortunately gives the impression that her nose is running.
Not the time and place to talk.
It's way past the time we talk. The gloves are off, Ludwig. I'm playing hardball. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full court press.
Insert the cake. The waiter gives Ludwig the queen's ear.
I'd be careful, Lieutenant. I can make one phone call and you're off the force.
Go ahead. I'll make 2 phone calls and get back on the force.
Ludwig gets up from the chair.
Mr. Drebin, you have evidence, then use it. If not, I'm warning you. Get off my back! Or I promise you it will cost you dearly.
He turns on his heel and exits.
Frank, what's wrong?
Frank sits in Ludwig's seat.
A lot of things, sweetie pie. A little meeting that turned into a peekaboo session with bullets. All set up by someone who's been playing me like a violin at the annual SAPS convention.
Funny face, I don't know what you're talking about.
My stockyard meeting, Butterwings, or don't you remember setting it up?
Ludwig said you called the meeting off. Believe me, I
Tell me
didn't-
another one, Schnooky Lumps.
He takes a bite of the queen's nose. He starts to exit. Jane goes after him and grabs him.
It's the truth.
It's true what they say. Cops and women don't mix. It's like eating a spoonful of Drano. Sure, it will clean you out, but it leaves you hollow inside. Too bad, Sugar Puff. We could have been something.
He exits. Jane is close behind. In another part of the ballroom, at a table,
I was only doing what I was told to do.
Like make love to me?
Frank,
she slaps him.
That only makes things easier, Princess. To think I trusted you, I made a big mistake.
but Frank, you've got to let me explain.
Better do it while I'm still alive, sweetheart. It's turned cold outside. Or did you leave your heart open?
He takes a garter from an inside pocket.
You can take this back.
Whose is that?
Frank looks at it and throws it away.
It doesn't matter. Take care, baby. By the way, I faked every orgasm.
He storms off, leaving a broken Jane.
Funny face.
Interior ballroom podium. An English gentleman starts to speak.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the woman whose efforts have made it possible for us to celebrate this glorious occasion, the Mayor of Los Angeles, the Honorable Lillian Barclay.
All rise in applause as the mayor approaches the podium and shakes the man's hand warmly. Interior ballroom, another area, Jane catches up to Ludwig.
Mr. Ludwig, the stockyard meeting was just a trap, wasn't it?
Oh, I understand how it may look to you, but I assure you I have no idea who tried to kill Lieutenant Drebin.
But you told me you were going to meet him.
I'm sorry, my dear, but I was detained. By the time I got there, he was gone. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must greet some of my guests.
He exits. Jane is not entirely convinced. She looks towards Ludwig, growing more resentful by the second. She decides to confront him again. She starts to follow him. Interior hallway night, Papschmier is talking to Ludwig.
My plane leaves tonight. Can you give me your assurance that the assassination will go according to the schedule?
Interior ballroom entrance night. Jane stops suddenly near the entrance hall. She hears voices. It's Ludwig and Papschmier! She leans around a corner to listen.
Yes, tomorrow after her speech at the Veterans of Unjust Wars luncheon, the Queen is to join the mayor at the baseball game.
Interior ballroom night. Jane is shocked.
And at the seventh inning stretch, the Queen stands up.
And you shoot her.
No, I won't have to. All I need is this.
He takes... Oh, I'm not muted. He takes the beeper key ring out of his pocket. Insert beeper key ring. Papschmier is impressed.
And one baseball player.
Ludwig hurries back into the ballroom, not noticing Jane. The camera stays on Jane, confused and frightened. Interior ballroom at the podium.
And to commemorate our friendship, the city of Los Angeles is honored to present to the royal family this Revolutionary War musket, originally used during the Battle of Anaheim Ridge and graciously donated by Mr. Vincent Ludwig.
Ludwig opens up a velvet case, revealing the antique musket. Audience applauds.
Ed, the queen arrives any minute. Ludwig's going to make his move now.
Better get yourself into a position where you can keep an eye on him.
Right.
Frank takes his position.
Ladies and gentlemen, Her Royal Highness Queen Elizabeth II.
All rise in applause. Interior banquet room, another area. Frank stands in front of a row of English uniformed guards. The guards all raise trumpets and blow out a loud fanfare. Frank cringes and staggers forward, covering his ears in pain. In another area of the ballroom, Queen Elizabeth II makes a grand, pompous royal entrance, accompanied by the royal entourage. She walks past the champagne table. On Frank, still groggy from the horn blast, he staggers towards the Queen. On the podium, Frank's point of view of Ludwig smiling, Ludwig lifts the musket out of his case. Back to Frank, alarmed, starts to run towards the Queen. Insert hands on a champagne bottle working the cork. On Queen, approaching the end of the banquet table with her entourage. Podium, on Ludwig raising the rifle. On the champagne bottle, the cork pops. Lots of corks are popping. At the banquet table on Frank, horrified, he lunges full speed, tackling the Queen backwards onto the banquet table. They slide along the table, crashing along the candelabra, punch bowls. The applause stops as they crash through one final candelabra. Frank is sprawled out on top of the Queen in the missionary position, his head buried in her cleavage, her legs wrapped around his waist. Flashbulbs pop everywhere. At the ballroom entrance, Jane appears just in time to see this fiasco. Interior police squad in the morning. Insert newspaper on desk. The headline reads, City Disgraced. The 4-column picture is of Frank and the Queen at the end of their slide down the table, but now Frank is astride her doggy style. Giggity. Both faces looking right into the camera, Frank wide-eyed with shock. The Queen's expression would be misconstrued as one of sexual climax. A climax.
It's disgusting the way they splash this stuff all over the newspapers.
Ed looks down at assorted newspapers on the desk. Each one shows Frank and the Queen in a different, awkward position.
What is journalism coming to? You're laying on top of the Queen with her legs wrapped around you and they call that news? Imagine treating an officer of the law like some presidential candidate. It's not fair.
Frank is putting things into a cardboard box. He's packing it up. There are half a dozen other detectives in the background watching.
You just got caught up in city politics.
There's more papers, notebooks, than socks, underwear. Paper clips, then more paper clips, handfuls of paper clips.
The mayor pressured the chief. She's not good enough to hold your badge.
Frank is pulling out a long string of paper clips from a drawer. It keeps coming and coming. It's endless. Al is standing behind him, his head out of frame. Tears are falling down into frame. Al is sniffling.
Oh, now, Al. Don't you worry about me. Now I can take that dog team into the Yukon like I always wanted to.
We can't just kick you off the force. It's just not fair.
Frank continues packing.
Now, life isn't always
Continuing,
fair.
he looks out a window wistfully.
Just think, the next time I shoot somebody, I could be arrested.
Jesus. He pulls out an old document.
Hey, wait a minute. It's that missing piece of evidence from the Kellner case. My God, he was
He went to the
innocent.
chair 2 years ago, Frank.
Frank
Oh,
tosses
well.
the document away.
Oh,
In
what's the
frustration,
use?
he starts smashing the things on his desk.
What good are all these damn
Breaks the
citations
plaque in
now?
half, tears it into fragments, some framed pictures. Finally, he takes out the whole middle drawer and smashes it to pieces on top of the desk. Al taps Frank on the shoulder. Wait a minute, Frank. Frank breaks a glass sculpture and scrapes it across the wood top finish. Frank? Frank stops momentarily and looks up at Al.
What is it, Al?
That's my desk. Continuing, Frank looks down at what he's done. You're over there. He points over to Frank's desk, all neat and untouched. He picks up
Well,
a photograph in a smashed frame.
I didn't think I
Banging on the
recognized her.
door, Jane bursts in. Dun dun dun.
Frank,
What are you doing here? Running around another errand for your boyfriend?
I called you all last night. I even came by your place. Where were you?
I was out walking last night.
You've got to listen to me. I have important information for you. Please believe me, Vincent Ludwig and I, there was never anything between us. He likes East German men.
What about you?
Jane looks Frank right in the eye.
I like cops.
All the assembled detectives start to take off their coats.
All right, come on, guys. Settle down. Easy.
All become quiet.
All right, what have you got?
You were right all along, Frank. Ludwig's planning to have someone assassinate the Queen.
Where?
At the baseball game. The Queen will be there this afternoon as a guest of Ludwig. I'm supposed to be with them.
You're telling me that Vincent Ludwig is just gonna shoot the Queen in front of 60,000 fans?
No, he said one of the players is going to do it during the 7th inning stretch.
The game starts in 20 minutes.
I better get down there right
I'm
away.
going with you.
No, it's best you stay with Ludwig. We don't want to arouse any suspicion.
Right. All right.
Hey, listen. I've got you guys in enough trouble already. Don't risk it for me. I'll go alone.
Back on the force, Frank. We're all behind you.
Yeah, right. We're with you, Frank.
I agree.
All right.
Cheers! Jane gazes into Frank's eyes.
Frank,
Yes?
I wanted you to know. Now, I've loved you since the first day I met you, and I'll never stop. I'm a very lucky woman.
So am
He
I.
turns to the men.
All right, let's get going.
Exterior baseball stadium entrance day. Fans are pouring in. A lot of security rings each entrance. Interior announcers booth day.
And a good afternoon to everyone. We're going to you live from the Big A, where the California Angels will meet the Seattle Mariners in a showdown for the division lead in the exciting American League West race. Hello, I'm Kurt Gowdy, along with Jim Palmer and Jim McCarver, Dick Vitale, Mel Allen, Dick Enberg, and Dr. Joyce Brothers, bringing you all this important ball game.
And a very special game it is, Kurt. For as we all know by now, today's game is being attended by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth.
I'm sure Her Majesty will enjoy this game, Jim. So settle back, enjoy. We got a good one for you.
Exterior grandstands day. Frank is looking over the field.
All right, we got all the exits covered.
I ought to go right over there and arrest him now.
No, Frank. Without evidence, we got to let him make the first move. Besides, if the mayor sees you here, she'll have you arrested on the spot. You're going to have to stay out of sight.
But I've got to get to that assassin before the 7th inning stretch. And if Jane is right, it could be any one of those players. I've got to find a way to get down on that field.
Exterior grandstand day. Fans are listening to the PA.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we give you today's starting lineup, it is our pleasure to introduce to you our city's most distinguished royal visitor and our special guest for today's baseball game, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
All rise in applause. Music plays God Save the Queen, etc. Exterior grandstand aisle day. The Queen and her entourage make a grand entrance with the mayor, down a few steps and led by an usherette across her seat in the royal box. The usherette finds 2 fans sitting in the Queen's seats, checks their tickets with the Queen's, and kicks the 2 fans out. Exterior ballpark royal box seats day. Ludwig is seated with Jane near the Queen.
Mia, is something bothering you?
Why, no. Why do you ask?
You haven't said a word. You seem nervous.
Oh, well, you know what an important game like this is for the Angels.
Interior corridor dressing room day. Frank rounds a corner. He sees an affairs coordinator for the ball club speaking to Enrico Palazzo, a pompous, portly man. To act unsuspicious, rather, Frank bends over to tie his shoes. He listens closely.
Why isn't he here now?
Mr. Palazzo, our overhead usher will be here in 2 minutes to take you onto the field. Please just wait here.
I don't like to be made to wait. I want him here now. Do you understand?
The coordinator exits. Enrico enters the dressing room. Frank waits for the coordinator to clear the hall. He then walks up to the dressing room door, knocks, and Enrico answers.
I'm the head usher. I'd like to show you something.
He gives him a quick hack on the neck. Enrico falls backwards unconscious. Frank quickly enters the dressing room, closes the door. Not a second too soon, the head usher taps the door.
Mr. Palazzo,
Yes?
would you come with me?
A moan is emitted from the off-screen Enrico.
1 second.
Exterior home plate day. Frank enters the field. A color guard surrounds him. Frank and the color guard march to home plate area. Frank is now standing at the microphone.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise as we honor America. And in salute to 175 years of friendship with Great Britain, let us all welcome internationally renowned opera star Enrico Palazzo,
This is news to Frank.
who will now sing our national anthem.
Nice applause. Frank gulps hard. Acknowledging the response, gives a wink, blows a kiss to the throng. Exterior royal box seats. Queen, applauding. Ludwig thinks Palazzo looks familiar. He looks out of center field at the Angel Vision scoreboard. Exterior outfield at the microphone. Frank. The organ begins the intro. Frank softly clears his throat, then sings. It sets music back a generation. Frank is selling it, giving it all he's got, but he's got nothing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed by the twilight's last gleaming?
Exterior crowd stands. Ed is searching the stands, sees that it's Frank singing the national anthem and can't believe it. In the royal box seats, Ludwig is watching Frank's face fill the Angel Vision screen. He is enraged. Jane winces at the sour notes. Ludwig leans over toward the aisle and whispers instruction to a policeman. Meanwhile, in the dressing room, Enrico is tied up with his tie, gagged with his handkerchief, and from a TV speaker he hears the butchering of his good name and talent. He is near tears.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night o'er the ramparts we watched, da 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 da.
Infield near the third base, 2 players are standing in line near third base. They look at each other and wince. Interior of the organ area, the organist is playing but not believing. Exterior outfield at the microphone, Frank is really getting into it now. He's belting it out like a pro, but he's mangling the words.
And the rocket's red glare, lots of bombs in the air.
Interior of the dressing room, Enrico hears Frank butchering the national anthem over a television in the room. He struggles to get out of his bonds. Revenge is in his eyes. Exterior at the dugouts, security personnel emerge from the doors in a wall and begin to creep up behind Frank.
Gave proof through the night that we still had a flag.
Exterior outfield at the mic, Frank notices them behind him. Still singing, Frank is edging sideways towards a door.
Oh, say does that flag banner wave over all the free in the home of the brave and the land of the...
The security men are getting too close. Frank makes a run for it.
Free!
He passes through a perplexed color guard and makes it through the fence door, followed by the police. Interior announcer's booth, day.
And with that bit of ceremony completed, we'll wait for the exchange of the lineup cards and the start of today's ball game.
Interior tunnel near the umpire's locker room. Frank thinking over his next move. The umpires pass him on their way to the field. The crew chief brings up the rear. Frank takes him aside.
Maybe you could help me with my ticket.
He reaches into the suit coat and gives the ump a quick hack on the neck with the back of his hand. Frank drags the ump into the ump's locker room. Interior announcer's booth. Announcer.
Well, we've just heard the public address announcer give us the paid attendance of 69,127, a record crowd. And while awaiting the first pitch, we're being entertained by the stadium's Angel Vision, showing us some of the fantastic baseball plays over the years.
Angel Vision, a series of great catches, diving over the shoulder, reaching into the stands, scaling the wall, the banging into the fences, the dugout, colliding with one another, breathtaking. The crowd oohs and ahs at each highlight. Interior, the umpire's locker room. Frank starts undressing. A maintenance man enters, and he sees Frank undressing and the ump lying across the bench.
Sorry, fellas.
He exits quickly. Frank continues undressing. Exterior royal box seats. The Queen is marveling at the spectacular plays on the Angel Vision scoreboard. She is in the middle of passing a hot dog down a row and money back the other way. Ludwig takes out a beeper keyring. Jane takes note of this. On the Angel Vision, the Angel shortstop goes back for a bloop fly ball. Before he can get to it, he's hit by a car. Mariner outfielder goes back to back to the fence, up to the wall, hits the fence. His head flies over the wall.
I gotta go back up.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you. Interior, the umpire's locker room. Frank, in umpire's clothes, he has tied up the umpire, gagged him, and puts him in his locker. He picks up the limp chest protector. He starts to blow it up. Angel Vision shows an Angel runner breaking for the second on steal attempt. He slides into second only to be pounced on by a waiting hungry lion. Interior, umpire's locker room. Frank is blowing into the inflated chest protector, going beyond its capacity. Interior announcer's booth.
And with the umpires today's game, they will be Bob Coney, Louis Netz, Dan Zola, and Norm Cummings behind the plate.
Exterior tunnel, Frank Day. He comes out on the field. He's looking slightly ridiculous in his overinflated chest protector. With the mask over his face, he can't be recognized. A round of boos greets him. Frank takes exception. Exterior Angel dugout, Day. The Angels run out onto the field. The crowd cheers. Interior announcer's booth.
So, as the Angels take the field, we're about to ready for the first pitch ceremony, and the Queen ready to toss it out to Angels catcher Chuck Schultz.
Exterior royal box, the Queen. A stadium official presents her with the ball. The Angel catcher stands back, ready to receive the throw. The Queen tosses out the ball. It curves and twists like a Major League screwball, surprising the catcher. Interior announcer's booth.
And with that bit of royal ceremony completed, we're ready to play ball. And I'm sure this group of lovely ladies would agree.
Exterior grandstand, Day. A row of well-dressed players' wives seated together in one of the rows in front. They ought to. Those are the players' wives on hand to enjoy the game with us today. Exterior, behind the catcher, Frank is keeping an eye on the Queen. In the Angel dugout, the Angel manager glares at Frank. That's not me, is it? No. Manager?
It's Anna. There we go,
It's
yeah.
me. I just lost where we were.
Yeah, it's
oh.
confusing.
Cummings, we're going to catch this day?
Exterior, behind the catcher, Day. Frank wakes up.
Do what? Oh, play ball?
Exterior grandstands. Ed watching home plate area with Al. He recognizes something, looks through his binoculars.
Frank! Al, that's Frank!
He hands Al the binoculars. Exterior field, Day. The crowd cheers. Frank likes the feeling. He made it all happen. He takes his place behind the catcher. Exterior in the stands, Ed is keeping his eye on things. In the royal box seats, Jane is concerned. Ludwig apprehensive. Frank behind the catcher is watching the players. In the interior, the announcer's booth.
And this game's underway. Dave Spywag ready to face Jay Johnstone.
Exterior plate, the Mariner batter steps up to the plate, fidgets with his uniform, digs in, fidgets some more with the uniform, spits, grabs his crotch, digs in, takes a few swings, steps out, spits, grabs his crotch, pulls the uniform out of his rump, spits, grabs his crotch, clears his nose, sticks his hand in his pants, fumbles and adjusts his family jewels, spits, grabs his crotch, and steps in. The Mariners' third base coach is spitting, grabbing his crotch. Exterior of the mound, the pitcher is looking for the sign, spits, grabs his crotch. In the Angels' dugout, the manager in the dugout spits and grabs his crotch. Exterior of the Mariner dugout, the Mariner manager is in the dugout, spits and grabs his crotch. In the background, every single player in the dugout is also spitting and crotch grabbing. Exterior of the stands, the players' wives during the day are spitting and grabbing their crotches. Exterior of the grandstands, Ed is nervously watching the plate. Al enters and stands alongside him. Nothing to report so far, Chief.
Don't worry, Al. If one of these players is the killer, Frank's going to find him, even if he has to search every one of them.
Frank, behind the Angel catcher, is eyeing the batter suspiciously. The batter is ready.
Good luck, pal.
He pats him on the back.
That uniform on straight?
Frank's got both hands on him, searching for weapons. The batter's puzzled.
Okay, batter up.
The pitcher looks for a sign. Frank crouches over the catcher. His hand starts to search for the catcher. The catcher, in the middle of giving a sign, looks back up at Frank. What the hell are you doing? Frank backs off.
Okay, let's play ball.
As the batter cocks his bat to hit, he hits Frank in the face. The first pitch comes in, he takes it. Several beats. The catcher and batter look to Frank. Frank knows he has a decision to make. He takes a guess.
Strike?
The batter is upset. The crowd cheers. Frank enjoys the positive response, calls it out with a more resonant, flamboyant style.
Strike one!
The crowd loves it. Frank swaggers a bit. The next pitch, the batter takes it. Frank leaps up, wild-eyed, punching the air in front of him and repeatedly with both fists.
Strike two!
The crowd cheers. Frank is really into it now. He crouches for the next pitch. The batter takes it again. Frank whirls around and throws his fists in the air.
Strike three!
He pulls his fist dramatically tight to his chest. Moonwalking back away from the plate, the crowd is delirious. Montage! Frank flamboyantly calling strikes on Mariner batters, gratuitously playing to the crowd, blowing kisses, taking bows, tipping his cap, etc. Exterior field, behind the Angel catcher, Frank is umpiring and using every excuse to search the players. Frank searches a Mariner and Angel batters. Exterior at the mound, Frank walks out to the Angel pitcher's mound to inspect the ball and searches the pitcher. In his pockets he finds sandpaper, an emery board, finally an electric belt sander. Then Frank takes the pitcher's cap off and finds a small jar of Vaseline. Frank returns to the paraphernalia to the astonished pitcher and starts up the game again. Behind the Mariner catcher, Frank is flamboyantly calling balls, strikes, and outs. On one such overblown gesture, he inadvertently strikes the on-deck circle batter on the head. Frank pulls out a cork from the end of the bat with the aid of a corkscrew. Angel runner slides into home plate. Frank pats him down. Exterior in the stands, the crowd does the wave. Exterior in the Royal box, the Queen does the wave. Exterior at third base, the Mariner third baseman, camped under a high pop fly, gets searched by Frank, takes his eye off the ball, and the ball hits him in the head. Exterior field at home plate, a batter hits an obvious home run, watches it sail over the fence before returning. As he takes the first steps towards it, Frank urges him. Insert the scoreboard. The scoreboard is showing the innings going by, the score changing. Exterior at home plate, a Mariner home runner crosses the plate, gets high fives from the players, and Frank gives him a high five and pats him down, and then pats everyone else down. At the mound, the Angel manager walks out to the pitcher's mound and taps his left elbow. Interior, the announcer's booth.
That makes the score Angels 4, Mariners 3 with 2 outs.
And now the Angel manager, Rollins, is going out to the mound to talk things over with Spiewak.
He's going to try and settle down his younger pitcher, Tim. With the left-hander Tom Foti throwing in the bullpen and Chris going on deck, he's going to find out if Spiewak's getting tired.
Exterior at the mound, the Angels manager joins the catcher, second baseman, and shortstop in typical conference on the mound. Look, Skipper, I'm sure I'm right about this. Interest on the second home isn't deductible anymore.
Well, if it's a business, but you have to show income and make a profit in 1 in every 4 years. Right?
How about if you loan yourself money from your own pension fund? You're not paying tax on any of that anyway.
Are you talking about an IRA or a keyhole plan?
Manager starts back to the dugout, signals for a lefty. Interior announcer's booth, day.
I knew it. Just as I said, Spiewak couldn't convince Rollins to leave him in the game, so he's decided to bring in the left-hander.
It'll be final pitch to Armando Criscone, and we'll pick up the action of the 7th inning with 2 outs.
Exterior grandstands, Frank meets Ed at the rail.
Have you found him yet?
No, I've searched
Looks up
almost
to the
everywhere.
scoreboard.
There's only one more out until the 7th inning stretch, Frank. I'll have my own men on alert, but you'll have to stall them. Don't let them get that 3rd out.
Frank looks up at the scoreboard. Insert of the scoreboard showing the 7th inning, 2 outs. Exterior pitcher's mound day. It's a perfect strike. The crowd
Ball one.
boos. The Angel catcher and the relief pitcher are angry. He pitches again. A perfect strike. The crowd
Ball two.
boos. Angel dugout day. The Angel manager is irate.
What? That was right down the middle!
Exterior pitcher's mound day. The Angel relief pitcher is angry. He winds up and pitches again. At home plate, the Mariner batter swings. It's a high pop over the home plate. The catcher whips off his mask and, looking straight up, moves back and forth trying to get under the ball. Frank also looks straight up at the ball and moves back and forth following it. They're bumping into each other. The catcher looks at Frank, annoyed, but bravely keeps trying to keep under the ball, all the while bumping into Frank. At the exterior royal box seats, Ludwig Day.
Catch it! Catch it!
Jane finds Ludwig's sudden interest in the progress of the game noteworthy. At home plate, finally frustrated, the Angel catcher shoves Frank out of frame. Frank takes from his pockets the 2 new balls in each hand and throws them into the air. The Angel catcher, suddenly he sees 5 balls coming down on him. Giggity. He doesn't know which ball to go after. In his confusion, he misses everything. The crowd boos. The catcher looks down at his glove. He's caught a set of car keys.
Fair ball.
The catcher and the relief pitcher immediately start to protest, but the runner on third breaks for home. The pitcher picks up the ball and fires it to the catcher at the plate. The runner slides. The catcher is just sitting there waiting. He's out by a mile.
Safe.
What?
Exterior Angel dugout. The crowd boos. Angel manager is beside himself. At first base, suddenly the Mariner runner on first takes off for second. The catcher whips around and throws the ball to the second baseman. The runner is caught in a rundown between first and second. Frank is alarmed. He runs over. Interior announcer's booth.
Now they've got Cristone hung up between first and second.
The announcer looks a bit puzzled as Frank enters alongside the umpire. The base path. The Angel first baseman, second baseman, and shortstop are doing the typical round-robin rundown. The first base ump is hovering back and forth with the action. Frank enters alongside the ump, moving within step for step. The ump is annoyed. Frank is bumping into him every step. Frank starts to follow after the runner directly on the base path. He reaches out and grabs the ball on one pass and throws it back to the second baseman. Now Frank and the second baseman have the runner in rundown. Interior announcer's booth day. Announcers are dumbfounded as Frank tosses the ball back and forth with the second baseman. Exterior, the base path day. The runner charges at Frank only to have Frank toss him the ball. Surprised, he tosses it back to Frank like a hot potato. The shortstop is chasing after the ball back and forth between Frank and the runner. It looks as though he's caught in the rundown. The first base umpire, furious, intercepts the ball at Frank's next throw and chases after Frank, throwing the ball at him. He misses. The shortstop catches it and throws the ball back to the second baseman. They've got the ump caught in the rundown. Interior announcer's booth day.
I know it's hard to believe, but apparently the umpires have got Crisco on a rundown.
It's towards the bottom of 100. Yeah, okay, yeah.
All right. Exterior, the base path day. The first baseman tags the umpire out. The umpire angrily takes off his gloves. Frank immediately tosses him the ball. The ump throws it right back. The 2 umpires are having the runner in a rundown while the players stand by watching. Interior, the announcer's booth day.
I know this is hard to believe, folks.
He glances uncomfortably at Jim Palmer.
Apparently the umpires got Crisco on a rundown.
He looks at Palmer and shrugs. On the base path, the Mariner runner makes a desperate flying headfirst slide into the ump into first base. Frank rushes up.
Safe.
Out. He's out.
Safe.
Frank and the first base ump go nose to nose, arguing. Interior, the announcer's booth. Umps in a heated argument. Now there's a sight I've never seen. Exterior, first base day. The other umpire has now joined the argument. They're still nose to nose. The first base ump is kicking sand on Frank's shoes. Frank kicks sand back at the ump. Angel manager and the Mariners manager are in there yelling too.
He's safe. You never touched him.
He was out when he ran out of the baseline in the first place.
That's it. I've had enough. You're out of here.
Frank makes a huge gesture, throwing the ump out. You can't throw an umpire out of a game.
All right, you're out of here.
He ejects the third base umpire. The crowd goes nuts. Interior announcer's booth day.
I'm not sure quite how to explain this, but apparently the crew chief has ejected the other two umpires, and I've got a feeling this isn't over yet.
Exterior, first base day.
Look, even the guy who works the scoreboard could tell he was out, and he's way up in the mezzanine.
Insert the scoreboard. It reads 7th inning, 3 outs. Exterior grandstands day. Ed and Al look at the scoreboard.
God, it's the third out.
Exterior royal box seats. Ludwig day. He presses a button on his key ring. Jane sees this. Back to first base. Frank sees the scoreboard. He's worried. Exterior second base day. The Angels' right fielder is waiting for the decision of the umps when we hear a beeping sound coming from his watch. Suddenly his expression changes. He is a determined zombie. He walks over to the second base, reaches down and pulls a gun out of the bag, and then crosses the field towards the Queen where she's sitting. Exterior stands the royal box. Jane puts it all together, realizing what's happening.
Frank! Frank! It's the right fielder!
At first base,
He's out. He's out.
Frank sees the right fielder. He pulls his gun. The umps and manager back off.
All right, he's safe. Yeah, you were right. Whatever, everything's best.
Exterior stands in the royal box. Ludwig pulls his gun on Jane.
All right, my job is finished. Now we're going to take you for a little walk.
Do you think I respected you? How could you do something so vicious?
It was easy, my dear. You forget I spent 2 years as a building contractor. Now let's go. Quietly.
He sticks the gun in her side and they exit. Exterior field near third base. Frank runs towards the right fielder. Before he reaches the third base line, Frank lunges and makes a diving tackle and drops his gun. The gun skitters off. Exterior Angel dugout, field near third base. The dugout empties. The right fielder's enraged teammates rush to his defense. The Mariners dugout field near first base. The Mariners team run out on the field. Exterior, the third base line, a huge rhubarb erupts. Okay. At first, it's just a big fist fight. Then a couple of players get smashed over the head with chairs and bottles. It becomes a barroom brawl. Exterior, the royal box seats. The mayor is very embarrassed. The opposite of that. She looks towards the Queen with a sheepish little smile. The crowd is cheering. Angle on the Queen. Exterior, third baseline. The fight. It is now just a ridiculously huge pile of guys kicking and crawling and punching. From the bottom of the pile, a right fielder emerges and walks towards the stands. Angle on Frank. He and the Angel catcher are face mask to face mask, strangling each other.
Where's the right fielder?
I don't know. I swear to God, I haven't seen him.
Exterior, Frank's point of view of the Angel dugouts and stands. Out of the corner of his eye, Frank sees the right fielder jump over the Angel dugout into the stands. The third baseline, Frank manages to get out of the pile. He runs towards the dugout. He's going to jump. Exterior, the aisle near the royal box. Ludwig and Jane are making their way slowly down the aisle. Exterior, the aisle near the royal box. The right fielder is getting closer to the Queen. At the royal box, the royal party are unaware of the danger. They're watching the brawl. At the aisle near the royal box, Frank is desperate. He remembers his ace in a hole. The cufflinks. At the royal box, the right fielder pulls out his gun, aims for the Queen.
I must kill the Queen. I must kill the Queen.
Exterior royal box seats. The mayor sees him, opens her mouth. We hear a woman scream. It's Jane. Exterior, the stands close to the royal box. The crowd all look towards the gunman and the Queen. Exterior stands at the royal box. Frank aims his cufflink and fires. The right fielder. He hears a whooshing sound, but it misses him. A moan from above brings everyone's attention to the upper deck. Exterior stands the upper decks. We see the victim of Frank's cuffling shot. It is an enormously obese woman. She's grabbing the side of her neck and tottering. At the royal box seats, the right fielder looks up, cringes in horror as he sees the tremendous form about to fall on him. Angle on the woman falling from the upper deck, crushing the right fielder. The queen is safe. Exterior, near the royal box seats, Frank, the cufflinks smoking, he blows on them, climbs up towards the queen. Exterior royal box, the mayor stands up, points at Frank.
The umpire! He saved the queen's life!
Ed rushes up.
That's not an umpire, Your Honor.
Frank dramatically takes off his mask, revealing himself. Exterior stands near the box. Day.
Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo!
Exterior stands. Day. The crowd takes up in cheer.
Enrico Palazzo, yeah, right. Enrico Palazzo, yeah.
Exterior royal box seats. Ed shrugs. He tried.
Drebin?
Exterior aisle to the tunnel. Ludwig. Day is now headed up the aisle towards the exit tunnel, all the time holding on to Jane, who in long shots is nothing more than a rag doll, flipping and flopping around with every one of Ludwig's moves.
Frank, help! Help me, Frank, help!
Exterior royal box. Frank spots them and starts to give chase. Interior concourse. Ludwig. His escape is blocked by Ed and cops. He shoots. They duck. He shoots. They duck again. They all jump. The bullets go under them.
All right, load down your guns.
He turns the other way. Frank is blocking him. Ludwig points his gun at Jane, holds her hostage.
Don't come any closer, Drebin.
He's got a gun!
I know.
You ruined my life, Drebin. Now I'm going to ruin yours.
Leave the girl alone.
I am. I'm going to kill you.
I see.
Ludwig fires. It hits Frank's chest protector. Frank, the chest protector slowly deflates. As it does, it makes the balloon deflating flatulent sound, all throughout the following.
The chest protector saved you this time, Drebin. But now I'm going to aim for your face.
He aims the gun at Frank. Jane bites his hand. She's wrestling with him over the gun. Frank aims the cufflinks and fires. Ludwig is zapped in the neck. The gun drops to the floor. Frank's cufflinks are smoking. Jane, shaken. Ludwig, staggering to hold his right, turns away. Insert Ludwig's hand pulling keys from his pocket and pressing the car alarm button on the chain. It beeps. Exterior, top of the stands, and concourse, Day.
You killed him!
No, it just stunned him. He'll be okay in a couple of minutes.
Ludwig staggers over the railing, loses it back. Over.
Well,
Ludwig falls 3 stories to the street below. Frank looks over the edge. Exterior, street below stadium. Ludwig, a car followed by a truck, then a bus run over him. Exterior, top of the stands and concourse. Jane, her watch is beeping. Exterior, street below stadium. A steamroller, then a marching band run over him. Exterior, top of stands and concourse. Frank shields Ed's eyes. Exterior, street below stadium. Ludwig, a truck labeled Brunswick, hits the bump. Dozens of bowling balls pour over the back of the truck onto Ludwig. Exterior, top of the stands and concourse. Frank winces. Ed cries on his shoulder.
Oh, Frank. It's horrible. It's so horrible.
I know, Ed.
My father went the same way.
On Frank, wondering about this, Jane picks up Ludwig's gun and points it at Frank.
I must kill Frank Drebin. I must kill Frank Drebin.
Frank and Ed are shocked. Ed and the cops raise and aim their guns at Jane.
No, don't
He
shoot.
looks directly into Jane's eyes.
Jane, it's me. Funny
Jane
face.
is unmoved.
Must kill Frank Drebin.
But you love Frank Drebin, and Frank Drebin loves you. If you don't love me, Jane, you might as well pull that trigger, because without you, there'd be no reason for me to live anyway. I finally found someone who I could love. Good, clean love. Without utensils. You've shown me how to enjoy sex without pain.
Exterior grandstands. The crowd is watching all of this on the Angel Vision. They're really into it, hanging on to every word.
In this topsy-turvy world, the problems of 2 people may not amount to more than a hill of beans. But this is our hill, and these are our beans.
Back to top of the fans in concourse, Frank, live.
Jane, since I have met you, I have noticed things I never even knew were there before. Birds singing, the dew glistening on a newly formed leaf, stoplights. You've changed my life forever, Jane, and you've made my dreams come true. You're the only girl for me, Jane, forever.
He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a tiny black box.
This morning I bought something for you. It's not much, but it's pretty good for an honest policeman's salary.
Insert on box, he opens it. It's a diamond ring. Exterior at the top of the stands and concourse.
It's an engagement ring. I would have given it to you earlier, but I wanted to wait till we were alone.
Exterior grandstands, 40,000 fans are watching on Angel Vision. Everyone is fighting back tears. Exterior, top of the stands and concourse, Angel Vision, Jane, a tear in her eye. Frank has broken through. Lush musical score. Her hand goes limp and drops the gun. She runs to Frank and embraces him.
Oh, Frank!
Exterior ballpark stands, everyone having found a new meaning in life, embraces, teary-eyed, white, black, young, old, good, bad. Interior of the announcer's booth, Gowdy and Palmer embrace.
Oh, I didn't mean to yell at you yesterday.
Dick Vitale, deeply moved, is sobbing. Dr. Joyce Brothers puts a comforting arm around him.
I wouldn't worry about it. Many sports announcers experience the same kind of job-related stress. I recommend to most of my patients 1 full year of just
Not talking! Then they're good as new!
Exterior concourse area, day, the mayor approaches Frank.
Drebin, I think I have something here that belongs to you.
She takes out Frank's badge and offers it to him. Frank stares down at it. He can't believe it.
And I want to tell you, I was wrong about you. This city, I guess the whole world, owes you a debt of gratitude.
Thank you, Mayor.
And Monday morning, we'll want you back at police squad, with the promotion to captain, of course.
The mayor gives him a wink. Ed smiles proudly.
Mayor,
But don't thank me. There's someone else here who wants to thank you.
Continued. Angle on. Norberg enters in his wheelchair, pushed by an attendant.
Nordberg.
Frank, the doc says I'll be good as new in a week.
And back on the force.
That's wonderful,
He
Nordberg.
pats him on the back, leaving Norberg's wheelchair face down on the ramp and rolling.
Oh, Frank!
He embraces him. Everyone is focused on Frank and Jane.
Everyone ought to have a friend like you.
In the background, Norberg is hurtling out of control down the steps. The wheelchair crashes into the railing and Norberg goes flying into the air, catapulted. Interior organ area, day, the organist does a flourishing intro to Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Exterior on the field, Frank and Jane emerge from the dugout and appear before the crowd waving their hats. The crowd rises to its feet, cheering. Yay! The crowd starts to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Insert on the scoreboard showing replays of the Ludwig sequence, Frank proposing, etc. On the field, Frank, Jane, Ed, Mayor, and the Queen are all singing together.
For it's one.
For it's one, two,
Victor out.
three strikes are out at the
old
old
ball
ball
game.
game.
Balloons leap into the sky. End credits roll to a fully orchestrated version of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Fade to black. The end.
All right. Well, thank you to everyone watching, and good night.